but a very obvious idea sitting under everyone's nose with a 2x founder executing intensely. In 13 months, they have raised 10 million.
It was like $2,500 to get a custom Agree wrapped coffee cart. And so we bought one. And so like, again, like early days, like we're out there handing out cold brew to people in Agree.com branded plastic cups, just like getting the word out.
So I guess your first 25,000 users, what channel or what one growth hack you think had the most amount of impact on your flywheel starting?
So in the very beginning.
Welcome back to A to B. Today we are with Will Hubbard from Agree.com, the DocuSign killer.
Yep.
So in this podcast, we break down what it takes to go from A to B, and we get the best founders who are in Series A, who are far above where they're supposed to be or where everyone usually is. And today's guest, we have, Will Hubbard from Agree.com. So let's cold pitch open. What does Agree.com do?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. Stoked to have a conversation today. But basically, what Agree does. We're an all-in-one contracting and invoicing platform. So you mentioned DocuSign earlier. We're basically a free DocuSign. So you can send out unlimited contracts for signature. And we're real free, by the way, not fake free, not like two a month or whatever like most people do. But the magical thing is we also integrate invoicing, billing, payments, and collections all onto our platform. And then that's how we sort of make money. We're a fintech company. But I will say like the way that most people do things today, like they sign a contract, and the most important contracts out there like involve money movement some way or somehow. But then they have to go to a completely different platform to actually invoice against that contract. We combine it all in one. So it's streamlined, it's more efficient, it's just a better experience overall.
You know, I heard about that for the first time, and I was like, it seems to something so obvious, where it's like everyone is sending these things to get signed, to get paid, and then they have to go through a whole separate flow to actually get them paid. And it just blows my mind that no one ever went for this so aggressively. And then you can also just not charge a DocuSign sign because you're a fintech.
It's actually when we were fundraising, and I know you brought up sort of metrics or whatever, but it was like the number one pushback that we got in the politest way, which was like, wait, this is so obvious. Why hasn't somebody done this yet? Like this should exist, like surely. And my take on this is like, I think technology sort of goes in cycles where you have bundling and unbundling phases. When, you know, the first wave of like e-signature companies and online invoicing companies came online, that was like really innovative, new. It was a big deal to, you know, sign something digitally. Now our take is like those things are table stakes. And so like it should just be bundled all together and just create a more streamlined process.
When was the last time this was bundled though? I guess
I would say probably like an accounting department that was manually doing both in like the 90s,
exactly.
like with paper.
You can't send this stuff over email.
Exactly.
Okay, nice.
Exactly.
So before we go to Agree, a bit more about you. So you are, this is your third company, I think? Your third large one?
Yeah.
You've built and sold two companies.
That's right.
Sense and Niche.
That's right. Yeah. So repeat founder at heart. Started my first business out of college, actually, which was a little bit nutty looking back on it. We got venture funding when we were still in school. Like I was a junior. It was a small check. It was an accelerator check, but ran that company for about, almost 6 years until it was acquired. And then, like you mentioned, started another company, sort of had a more faster turnaround time for acquisition. But then more recently, going sort of right around the pandemic, started a small venture capital fund called Adventure Fund.
Yes.
And so we invest in like pre-seed companies, seed companies. Sometimes we'll do a Series A. Mostly it's like, hey, we're lucky to get invited back sort of thing. Like one of our portcos is doing well. And that's actually where the initial idea for Agree came from. Like I was trying to find someone building this company to invest in them. And when I was like looking at all the company, I was like, hey, this should exist. Surely somebody's building it. You know, like let me go find whoever's building it and give them money. But all the companies that I talked to that were building in the space, their business model was just charge for e-signature, just as like the standard SaaS model. And my take is it just doesn't make a lot of sense to charge for e-signature. Everybody hates paying for it. They feel like it's something they shouldn't be paying for to begin with. And so like our viewpoint is give it away for free and like use it as the wedge to become a payments business. Like don't get so caught up in like needing to charge, you know, whatever cost per envelope that you like, just like lose the forest for the trees.
It's one of the most ridiculed, I think, SaaSes to ever exist is paying to sign things.
100%. And so one thing that people ask me about is like, hey, Google Docs just released free e-signature. And like, my take on that is like, great. Like it should be free. Now, granted, like, you know, I'll put my biased founder hat on, you know, it's very much a feature within like a document editor, not like a full-blown e-signature platform. But I think it just speaks to this broader trend of like, hey, like you shouldn't have to pay for this stuff. Like it should just be free to use. It's just such a commodity feature. Stop paying for it.
Yeah. I use Google Docs every day. I have no idea how I'm going to get to that. Plus, it doesn't solve the payment thing. On top
Well,
of
and then
that,
like I'm sure you've seen like killedbygoogle.com, or I forget what the URL is, but it's like all the features that they've released that have then suddenly gone away. Like you don't want to build your whole business on something that might get deprioritized in a year.
yeah. Plus, I feel like with Google, it's kind of aggressive because like if someone's like a Microsoft company, they just wouldn't take easy to that somehow. I don't know why. But going into Agree a bit, so very fast from sign, invoice, payment, amazing flow. Everyone wonders what it is about a signature and invoice company that could be so big that they're on this podcast right now. So you launched September 2024.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so just a little bit over a year ago.
Just a little over a year ago. So when you raised your seed round in May, you guys are already at 25,000 users. Would you care to share how many you are at now? You don't have to. But
You know, honestly, I'd have to double check. I'm not sure off the top, just because and it's in the many tens of thousands at this point, but it's growing really nicely. There's something really nice about the product where it's just inherently viral, right? Where it's like,
yeah,
oh, if you send a document to somebody for signature, right? Like they're going to have to sign it and they might have a good experience and go, hey, what's agree.com? And then start sending out and signing contracts themselves that way too. And the K factor, which is, you know, how you measure virality, gets even higher when you have multiple signatories on the agreement, right? Because not always you're just sending to one person to sign. Sometimes there's like 5 or 6 people that need to sign the thing. And for us, that's just like a dream scenario for distribution, right? And so that's another, to your point, like that's another reason like we've been able to grow so fast is this product, like not only word of mouth, but also it's just like very viral and people have a good experience. And then for us, it's just this beautiful distribution engine because like, again, like we bundle in invoicing, billing, payments, collections, but people always ask me like, hey, like what if I just want to send an NDA or like a letter of intent or whatever, and there's no invoice. And I'm like, great, go for it. Like it's
that
still
was my first
like,
use case. It's fantastic.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
and I feel like you never talk about how nice it is that you guys let people upload PDFs and Word documents and you were just able to ingest them and make them sendable and editable so easily. Like, I don't know if that's like a commoditized thing, but the fact that I can just like have something written in ChatGPT or have like an old agreement in a PDF form, I don't even have the Word anymore, put it in agree.com and suddenly I have a template I can just edit has saved me so much headache.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Honestly, it's one of the hardest things we've built. Like by far one of the hardest things we've built.
You just talk about it more. It's crazy. It's so useful.
Yeah, because I talk to people all the time, like founders, people on the go-to-market teams, like whoever, and they're like, oh, I sent out this agreement and then I realized I made a mistake. And so I have to go back to Word, then I have to re-PDF to Word, then I have to repeat, like upload
PDF
to like,
to Word, random website with like some virus, some ad, like
yeah, and it's this like pain in, yeah, it's just this total pain moment where like they don't want to have to deal with it. And on Agree, if you realize like, hey, I need to make I made a mistake, I need to change this thing, there's a button, it just says revise. You click revise, it removes the validity of the signature link. We only let you do this, by the way, before they've signed. After they've signed, contract is locked. But you just click revise, make the change, and then resend. It takes like 2 seconds, maybe less.
No, it's really one of the best features. I feel like I've seen you write about things, speak about things, and I've never heard you guys talk about that enough. Like that is amazing. One of my favorite pastimes too. I feel like you guys also have a really good fan base behind you. Like every time someone sends me a DocuSign, I just forward it to you now.
Yeah, I love that, by the way. That's like, yeah, just every time I get like a DocuSign email from you, it just makes my day. Usually when I get a DocuSign email, it's clearly spam and somebody's trying to like get me to, yeah, the spam problem is out of this world with them. But when I get one from you, I'm like, thanks, man. He's like teeing it up.
Has that ever worked out for you? I wonder.
From what perspective?
Like if I sent you someone and you've been like, hey, you're paying for them, stop. And then been like,
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. Like I feel like because like other people do similar things and that's just how things spread. It's just like word of mouth like this.
Yeah. But so the most, not the most, but a very obvious idea sitting under everyone's nose with a 2x founder executing intensely. In 13 months, they have raised 10 million. So it usually takes people a year to raise their pre-seed, which is usually about up to 1.5, and then another 2 years to raise a seed. Usually the median is like, 3. You guys had a 7 million seed, a 3 million pre-seed, all in a fraction of the time. Usually what takes people to raise their first round. Tens of thousands of users, 24. Like it was literally a year ago that you guys launched this thing.
Yeah.
And
on Valentine's Day, by the way, is when we incorporated, and then
very romantic.
Happy coincidence. And then we launched the product in September. So kind of went heads down building, and the product's been live for
which in the pre-seed
SaaS
space these days, in the AI space, like a lot of people are, build quick, launch quick, fix it later. Whereas you guys taking 6 months is different. Why did you guys decide to do that?
I'd say the biggest reason is we're an all-in-one platform, right? Like we're
Yeah.
basically building like two, maybe three companies all at once. So that's very like dangerous from like an execution perspective, meaning like
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff to build and there's always going to be even more stuff to
And
build.
legal contracts to make valid and payments. Like, these are two things people don't want to mess with: the money coming in and the legal standing of their agreements.
It's two of the highest trust things. And like the only other things I could think of would be like health or like religion, but like legal contracts with payment, like you got to get it right. And so we wanted to have a product that worked well sort of out the door. And then when we launched, we did that. Now we started testing, I say 6 months, we started testing with like friends, family, like beta
Sure,
users like
sure, sure.
earlier. But that was just to nail the experience. Public launch was September of 2024. By the way, you mentioned like two of the highest trust things. That's also why we bought the domain name, agree.com. The reason we did that is it just instantly invokes trust when you get sent a document, right? Like imagine you got sent something that was from like let's agree.io or something like that. No shade on like, .io domains. Just like for us, it really helps like buy the trust, not of our users, but like of our users' users. And it's just like critical for what we're building.
Now that I'm reflecting on it, I think just seeing agree.com did give me trust to begin with. I like found you guys on Twitter like last year, and I was like, this looks so, I think, really close to you launching. Like, you guys have such a cult following. People like just tag you all the time, all
Yeah.
over Twitter, in group chats. Like, just, does anyone have any DocuSign like alternatives? Are so expensive. It's like, agree, all
It's
day.
honestly, it makes my day whenever that happens. What we started seeing too is people have started posting screenshots of like when they like sign a document and they're like
I
blurring
do that.
out and it's like a screenshot and I see agree in there and I'm like, yes, like even if they don't tag us, it's one of those things where it's like they're celebrating by posting a screenshot of our product. Like that's like the most magical thing.
I've done that a couple times. It's like completely organic. I never know you like that. Yeah, yeah. I think I saw someone else do it. I was like, that's a great idea. But so I think pre-seed, can largely be the outcome of really good repeat founders and investors trusting them. And I think seed is where it came to actually you guys executing. So I guess from ChemiSense and from Niche, like you two exited companies, and obviously you're running a funds. You also know, I guess, what investors are looking for. You have a good network, but what have those exits shaped and like how you're building Agree? Was there something other than your network and your credibility that they brought on the table?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Pre-seed round, before a product exists, obviously you are raising sort of like to a large extent on your background, your network, like people trust you, like you've built products in the past before. That's also, by the way, why we didn't do Y Combinator, but like why I think Y Combinator is so great for so many people, because it's like just instantly plugs you into a network and buys you credibility as a founder, which is awesome. It's exactly what you need when you're starting out. But I will say, so I mentioned we launched the Real sort of product in September. When we raised our round, we raised pretty quickly after incorporating the company, our pre-seed round. We always made the joke like, hey, like if you can't sign, you can't invest, because we were not going to talk about like how e-signature is broken and then send you like a DocuSign at the end of it to make the investment. And I know exactly who our first 8 users are. They're our first 8 investors, because like we sent them like the prototype of Agree and then they signed and we didn't have payments at that point, but everything worked perfectly. And so they were our very first 8 users, which is kind of a fun anecdote.
Did you end up getting any of your seed round paid through Agree? I guess you can't really do that.
Yeah, it's mostly candidly, the ticket prices are too high. So the payments processor that we work with, if you're sending yeah. Yeah, which is like kind of a weird founder flex. Like if you're sending like that much money, like there's some like verification stuff that needs to go in the back end. But to your point earlier, like first round definitely was like, hey, like we have a prototype, we have like backgrounds, like we've done this before, sort of thing. Second round was very much like, hey, the product is being like used by real people. We had some good design partners that were giving us feedback on like, what we should be building. And then from there, it was like user growth, like, hey, like it's kind of taking off. Like in the very beginning when we launched it, I was like, how are we going to get to 1,000 people using this thing? Like I was like kind of scared. Like you build something, you put it out there, like, will anybody use this thing? And then I think we got to, like 10,000 total users by like the end of the year or something like that. And so it was
like 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like pretty quick growth there. And so I think it was like, okay, that was like a founder moment where Marty and I, my co-founder, we were looking at each other being like, I think we have something here. And then we also had VCs that had heard about us, just kind of fun ways. Like one VC reached out because he signed his lease agreement on Agree and was like, what is this? This is amazing. Speaking of these like sort of viral, have a good experience and then get interested in the product. Another VC reached out because he had a founder send him a safe note to basically sign. And he was like, "What's agree.com? I've never heard of this." And so there was lots of moments like that where we were just getting a lot of inbound interest, and we decided, okay, I think we have some signal here. We should go to market and race.
Let's get slightly more tactical from the pre-seed to seed. So a lot of founders, they say first-time founders like products, second-time founders go for distribution.
Yeah,
You spent time building a good product, especially because they're very high stakes.
That's
but
right.
You seem to have also cracked distribution very quick. What was it about your last two companies, and where did it put you on that kind of like pendulum? Unless you think that entire reference is wrong.
No, I think it's a good point. I will say, I think a lot of these lessons came from running the venture fund, and we're still deploying capital there because we've invested in 30 something companies out of that fund. You just see like across, like you just have more data points as an investor than potentially as a founder. Like your data points for previous companies are, N of 2, whereas your data points for being like a VC are like N of 32. So you start to see things that are working for people, and you realize, oh yeah, like, hey, distribution really matters, and cracking that sort of like growth flywheel early on like leads to good things happening down the road. Like one company, I'm not saying, I'd say I look up to them in a lot of ways, is this company called Beehive. They're a newsletter platform. Tyler, the founder.
We love Beehive.
Yeah, so we invested in Beehive very early, like I think before they even had a product out in the market. Just because like Tyler was so clearly laser focused on this problem and thinking about growth and distribution, and we're like, okay, like we have to back him. And so I think like, for example, like seeing what he's done, it's just like, yeah, just really inspiring, and wanting to sort of capture a piece of that magic.
No, that makes a ton of sense. So I guess your first 25,000 users, what channel or what one growth hack you think had the most amount of impact on your flywheel starting?
So in the very beginning, do things that don't scale. I'm telling you, like, I really mean that. So for
10,000 without scaling is a contradiction.
Yeah.
It's a contradiction.
Yeah, a little bit, but in the beginning, so for example, we intentionally launched the product around a bunch of conferences that were happening in San Francisco, all right around the same time. So like TechCrunch Disrupt was happening. We knew there would be a lot of founders in town, a lot of like, people there, and Dreamforce was happening. And also, for like our audience, like e-signature matters for both of those things. And so we're like, okay, how can we like keep funds, tight, but also like find a way to make a splash at these conferences? And what we did in that very first month is we're like, hey, we'd love to like give people coffee, because the Starbucks line is always like overrun.
Coffee.
Because Starbucks line is always overrun, and so we think people would
Not
appreciate
pens.
free coffee. Not pens, even though I'm holding a pen right now. But so what we did, we're like, okay, I wonder like how much it costs to hire someone to basically go and be like our coffee stand for the day. And we reached out to a couple folks, and they're like, oh, it's going to be like $9,000 for like, 3 days. So like $3,000 a day for each conference. And we're like, that is egregious. No way it costs. And Marty and I were joking. We're like, how much does it even cost to buy a coffee cart? And so we looked it up, and it was like $2,500 to get a custom agree wrapped coffee cart. And so we bought one. And so like, again, like early days, like we're out there handing out cold brew to people in agree.com branded plastic cups, just like getting the word out, right? Like, because like there's, even if somebody doesn't take coffee, everybody's walking by you. People respect the hustle, they're like, hey, that's so clever. Like, we love that. So like doing things like that, I actually think really early on made a difference, because the business is viral, right? Your initial user base seeds the rest of the user base. And so it really matters who that initial user base is. And so like just doing things that don't scale to like get them on the platform is like mission critical on day one.
Can you go 10 minutes over?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
perfect.
I realize I'm rambling.
No. This is so good. So I think do things that don't scale makes a lot of sense. I think that probably helped you from the 0 to 10 as soon as the virality kicked in. I think one thing people should keep in mind is like you raised $3 million of your pre-seed, and you are still paying things what they're worth. And $3,000 for a coffee cart is not worth it, especially per coffee cart per conference. I think a lot of people get this kind of like confused of like how you do one thing is how you do everything, and you definitely should always pay things what they're worth, not because you can afford them.
100%. I think, like, for example, founders who raise a lot of money and then spend like they've raised a lot of money, I think it's one of the most dangerous things. Like, hire great people, but don't overhire. Like, spend on marketing, but pay for what it's worth. Don't, just willy-nilly throw money at the problem.
I'm about to get on hiring because we need to talk about how many employees you guys are in a second. So is there any other channel you'd say from 10K to the many tens of Ks that you would give the most credit to, or at least a lot of it?
Yeah, I'd say getting the word out at conferences is a big one. We did a lot of work with Google Ads as well, just people searching for e-signature or alternatives. That helped a little bit, but I will say with Google specifically, it casts a wide net. So you never know like what type of founders you're getting or like what type of users that you're getting. But I will say Google Ads performed very effectively for us, and we over time we optimized like the CPA to like go down and down and down and down. And then, yeah, so like conferences, word of mouth, Google Ads, I think all of those things sort of like worked well for us early on.
Those three things got you 25,000 users in 6 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the other thing, the one that's on my mind now that I'm thinking about how to approach is the ChatGPT like and like LLM optimizations. We had a user find it. Increasingly, people are finding us through ChatGPT because they search for this problem, and then it's like, you should use Agree, and then they reach out to us and they're like, hey, this is awesome. I'm like, I always ask folks like, where'd you find us? You know, and the answers are always interesting, but that's my favorite one is ChatGPT.
You know, I've kind of hacked that. I'm getting like 2 to 3 inbounds a week from ChatGPT now. As a
Amazing.
company that's raised much less than you, we can talk about that when we have a bit more time. But yeah, I'll send you a few things. There's a lot of fun in being able to get these AIs to recommend you. It's very, very fun.
Percent. One take I have that I think is interesting. They over-index on recent news. So it used to be like when you have a big event like a fundraise, do a media blast, like get the word out there, do as much as you can. And it's like lumpy. It's all at once and then nothing for a little while. And you know, we've done that too, but we're starting to experiment with more targeted releases of news, you know, having something every other month or every month, you know, every other week, whatever it is, to just like stay top of mind for like the LLMs.
You know, the average seed founder really struggles when it comes to kind of media releases.
Mm.
How do you guys manage that? Do you guys outsource that, or do you have your personal connections with journalists?
Yeah, great question. So for the seed, or sorry, for the pre-seed, I think we tried to outsource it. So we had like sort of like PR person. We're like, hey, we just raised 3 million. Can we get in front of people? And we did get some coverage there, but like we felt a little disconnected from the process. And so for the seed, we actually just did it ourselves. We didn't work with anyone. We just reached out to people,
Amazing.
and like the coverage was awesome. So we got like an exclusive on TechCrunch,
You
which was
did,
amazing.
which was very nice.
Marianne Acevedo, who is she's now left, but she was like the fintech reporter. And then Marty, my co-founder, also went on TBPN and sort of like talked about Agree sort of live in person, which was really cool. And then a bunch of other outlets picked us up, but that was just leveraging sort of like our like connections, right? Like I didn't know the TBPN guys
Yeah,
personally, but one of our investors did. And they had followed both of us on Twitter. So it's like there's a nice mutual connection there. And then same thing with Marianne, just like leaning on people we knew that knew her and then just having direct founder outreach.
that is very nice. So going into another thing that you guys have beat everyone in is you are only 7 people serving, or I don't know how many you are now, but when your TechCrunch article came out, you were 7, serving tens of thousands of users with a problem that is a bit of an iceberg, right? In a sense where like everyone assumes signatures is easy, but signatures and invoice payments are very complicated things under the hood
Oh, yeah.
with no
Oh, yeah.
margin of error. And people really underestimate the engineering required to build these kind of products. Yet you're doing it with a very lean team, with a very high, fast growing product. Speak about that before I ask you my golden hiring question. What's up with that?
Yeah. So on TVPN, just to keep talking about them, Marty joked like, "Hey, if we're gonna hire like our 8th employee, DocuSign needs to hire their 8,000th employee." Just a fun little quip. But
1,000 to 1, yeah.
yeah, one thing that we did that I think was incredibly helpful early on, support@agree.com. Like if you ever emailed support@agree.com, that email gets sent to literally everybody in the company. So if you're having a problem, every engineer, every single person sees that problem. And obviously we have a point person that was like following up with that, me. So it's like,
Yes,
and,
it
and
was
my
always
co-founder
you.
Marty. And so it's like we jump in, we help things, but like everybody's seeing things. So if something is like egregiously broken, and early days, like very first, week of launch or whatever, there were a couple things that were egregiously broken. It helped us get it fixed really quickly. Recently, we've integrated like intercom onto the product. That's really helped with like some of the basic questions, right? Like Finn, the AI agent, does a really good job of like triaging, like, hey, this is like a standard question that I know the answer to versus like, hey, this is a little more high level question and I need to route this to, somebody at Agree.
It makes a ton of sense. Going back into how difficult these things are to build as well, your engineers have to be really top tier to be how you to have this like 1,000 to 1 ratio with DocuSign, right? That's an egregious number. What's your most reliable kind of hiring litmus test and why?
Great question. On the engineering front, Evan Dudlett. Evan Dudla, our CTO, is like the best engineer like I've ever met in my life. And so when Evan says we should hire this person, that's I'm like, dude, okay, you got it. Like, let's do it. So one, just a ton of faith in Evan specifically because he is just like one of the most badass engineers I've ever met. That being said, I will say one thing that's been helpful for us is the rise of a lot of these AI coding tools. I think it just makes our team faster. There's some people who are vibe coding, and I've done vibe coding, and it's fun, but I don't think it really creates a very like production ready environment in most cases. I think it will get there, but for the most part, it's fun for like prototyping. The way we use it is we have architected like our code base very methodically by like, humans and made like clear decisions. And then once you plug that into things like Claude Code, it starts to understand some of the decisions that you've made on the architecture of your code base. And so it's like, I find Claude to be really good if you already know how to code, it just makes you faster at coding. It's not like vibe coding things, but it's just an accelerant. And I think as an all-in-one platform, like we have to lean on that because like time to market and speed of execution is just like critical for us.
And how did you meet Evan?
So Evan, I actually met through Marty. Marty and Evan and our CPO Mike previously sold a company to Brex that Marty invested and then joined. And so they had known each other for a long time. And so originally I had known Evan for years prior to starting Agree with him just through social circles, given Marty's connection to him. And then when we were like starting this company, like there's one person and one person only that we thought about asking to, basically spearhead the eng side. And it was Evan.
And aside from his like technical skills, there's something about Evan's personality that drew you to him the most? You trust him a lot.
That's a great question, and I think a question that gets under asked. I will say he has an incredibly calm, matter-of-fact demeanor to him. A lot of engineers are great engineers, but aren't great and effective communicators. Evan is kind of a unicorn in that he's both, where he's
That
like
is a unicorn.
A very good engineer, but also like arguably just as good as a communicator. And I think that really matters both for like hiring other engineers, but also sort of making product decisions. Another unicorn that I'll highlight is our chief product officer, Mike. Mike and Marty also go way back. Mike interned, I believe, at Marty's very first company back in Washington, D.C. But he's a unicorn because he's a designer who can code as well. So he's creating designs in Figma, and then he is the one actually coding up those designs and pushing PRs into production to have those designs go live on the site. So it's very rare you see someone who's not only like a world-class like creative like designer like sees things, but also then can go and like fingers on keyboard like actually make it like real in production.
Okay, I'm seeing this pattern of like being able to understand people and how you want to design things, understanding how someone's going to receive something communicated, being able to also technically build it, technically understand it, just being able to manage both. I think you're right, is a very, very rare skill. And I could see a bit of the same thing with both of them in that sense. That's actually very, very, very cool. Okay, it's really sweet how much you speak so highly of your team. And it seems like they're all great for a solid reason. So going into the kind of final question, I don't know when you guys are going to go to Series A. It seems like you guys have relatively low burn rate. You've reduced your CAC. You are growing quickly. You don't seem like the person who raises just to raise. So what is the one product metric unique to your business that's going to define you getting to your next stage? Whether that's A, maybe it's also going to be the same thing for B. I have one in mind. You can tell me if it's wrong.
Oh, okay.
For me,
you tell me. I'm curious. I know my answer, but I'm curious what your answer is.
Mine was going to be where is it? Mine was going to be your time from like sign to paid.
I love that.
But I don't wonder what the average for DocuSign is, and I wonder what your average is, and I'm assuming it is a very big difference.
Yeah, because one thing, again, that's kind of the cool thing about our product. As soon as you sign a contract, if you've tied an invoice to that contract, like immediately it goes out to the people that like need to pay that invoice. And so what we've noticed is like when people are in the headspace of signing a contract, they're also in the headspace of like just getting the thing paid and like having something that you don't have to like tell your finance team, hey, please remember to do this, please invoice by this date. And then humans are fallible. Yeah, they forget, it's
everything.
It's speed. Speed kills all deals. Speed wins all deals.
It really does.
But I will say that the types of metrics that we're really laser focused on in the beginning, it was users, right? Like total number of folks on the platform. Like I mentioned, that's important for seeding the network. Today, we're less focused on total number of users. There's a couple different metrics that we're focused on. One is total contract value. So in aggregate, the dollar value of all the contracts on our platform and what's that's worth. And then the other is total processing volume. Like how much money is actually being flown through Agree's payment rails versus being paid off platform. Obviously, those two things will never be one-to-one, but getting the ratio as close to one-to-one as possible and demonstrating both the ratio is good and the total dollar value on both of them is really good, is like probably our two North Star metrics that we're focused on the most.
And what's an input to those things? How do you control the size of deals being done on your platform, and obviously an equivalence to size of invoices being paid? What is the input to that?
The input is the type of customers that we onboard, right? So in the beginning, it's like Marty always joked, we'll take anybody with a signature and a pulse. He was just kind of saying that like jokingly. Now we're laser focused on businesses that are doing, somewhere between a million and call it 25 million in revenue, sort of this lower mid market, sort of services based businesses. Like B2B SaaS is a sweet spot for us, but also like agencies. So if you're like a lead gen agency or like digital marketing or a creative agency, all of these folks are like slam dunk sort of fits for Agree. And so we're focused on just getting people converted over onto the platform for both contracting as well as invoicing. So it's really like a function of the types of customers that I speak to, the total revenue amount that they're doing, and sort of like them being a good fit to switch over onto Agree.
Nice. And you guys going to get into more of like the monthly payment side of things?
Yeah, we have that, man. So we have recurring invoices where you can send out an invoice like every 30 days. You can get real custom with it. You could do like every quarter on the first Wednesday of the quarter, or like every 6 months on the first 17th of the 6 months, you can send an invoice. And then if you toggle on auto charge, it just turns it into a subscription. So we charge like whatever payment method they previously used. So we have recurring invoices, we have subscriptions, we have one-time invoices. Something we just launched like last week that we're really excited about is virtual account routing numbers. So on a per customer basis, we will create a unique account and routing number for you so that you're never actually like exposing your real banking information in a PDF. Like it's crazy to me that the way everybody does it today is like, hey, here's my real banking info. Please don't forward this to anybody that doesn't need to see it. Like it's the least secure way that you could do something.
It really is.
And so virtual helps with security. It also helps with visibility, right? Like we can see like when a payment has been submitted. And so we can provide full visibility into sort of like where your money is.
Yeah. I'm really glad you made that clear. I think a lot of people don't realize. I think they hear invoice and they think one-time payment. I was
That's
like,
a
no,
great
you
point.
can do so many things on this platform outside of just a one-time payment. I mean, maybe it's not common, but
Yeah, and it's designed for revenue leaders, right? Like a lot of other products out there are like either clunky and they're like legacy, or they're designed for developers. Like Agree is very much designed for revenue leaders. And basically, no matter what your business model is, like we can handle it.
well, thank you very much. So a bit over 30 minutes. I think this has been a fantastic episode. So yeah, thank you. Agree.com, free e-signatures to flow from invoice and payment. They use AI to process and parse contracts, auto-create invoices, and move money. So you don't just get a signature, you also get a cleared payment. Thank you very much, Will.
No, thank you. And
yeah.
please, anybody listening to this, my email is just will@agree.com. Reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you.
You definitely should reach out to Will. Save a lot of money on your DocuSign bills, maybe even your payment processing bills, and a lot of things in between. Thanks, Will.
Awesome. Thank you.